welcome back to Project Independence in You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I'm Rebecca Miller, along with Otto Lose. And now we have the wonderful Kristina Lou, who is talk of the town. I don't even know, facilitator, knows everything, does all the research. But first, again, I just want to say great guest. I know he's been on before, and I wish I knew Dr. Cardano played the guitar last time he was on. I would have we definitely would have put some time.
Yes, he came in studio many years back, and I remember he had brought his guitar.
Yeah, it was at least 5 years, probably.
Yeah, but a lot of great information, and it kind of angers me that we can't get more coverage for people, especially this could help people become, people who are not able to maybe afford what they really need. Maybe they can get something that they don't need, which may do more harm than good.
Mm-hmm.
I love that he has payment plans and payment options, so that's wonderful. But I mean, if we're all someday going to need some kind of assisted hearing thing, you would think that the insurance company could.
Well, they're always talking about Medicare with hearing and dental.
Yes, I know.
Both of them are very important, and they're treated like they don't exist.
And I think it's it's looked at as like a cosmetic-y kind of thing, not but I think that's what's so important about for having him on the radio show and really discussing the connection with cognitive function. I mean, it's such an important thing, so to not have some kind of hearing device, covered, at
it's
least
a health
to some
problem.
Extent,
Yeah.
If you can't see,
right,
you can get glasses or contacts or whatever, but hearing, for whatever reason, and I think I go back to when you can't see something clearly, you can't see something clearly.
Right.
When you can't hear something, you don't know you can't hear it.
Yeah.
Right.
You just don't know.
Yeah.
As far as you're concerned, there's no sound.
Like it's part of, I want to say, the culture in our country with how we treat seniors and the stigma that we have with our seniors. It's like, oh, well, they're old, of course they're going to lose their hearing, or why should we take care of their mental health? It's it's just part of the aging process. But it's like we're all about successful aging. I mean, and everybody's work
and the fact
has value.
And when Dr. Cardano mentioned that taking care of your hearing is the number one thing you're able to do to help with because there's so much, unfortunately, that we can't do. So if you can control this aspect, and it would make such a difference, I think that it's just
some of it may go back to if you saw old movies and they had some like a horn stuck in their ear, so they could hear. Imagine what it was like years ago, before there was any help for hearing or vision, for that matter. I mean, glasses have been around for hundreds and hundreds of years, but hearing, people had to have it. They didn't have the loud music that they have today, but hearing had to be a problem 500 years ago. So what happened?
Sign language.
Yeah, right.
But I don't know. I think that sign language and drawing, but for sight, that was.
Well, and they could have maybe said that this person has a mental health problem. We got to put him away.
Right.
That was the way things were fixed many thousands of years ago, hundreds of years ago.
Yeah.
And that, and I've said it before on this show, but I always distinctly remember that moment when my grandfather had to go to the hospital. He fell, and they were talking to him, and they immediately thought he had dementia, but they were not realizing that he couldn't. He had barely any hearing in his left ear. So we were like, absolutely, but he had my mom and I to advocate and say, put up a sign, above his bed, so everyone knows, whether it's a nurse or a new dog, whoever it is, that they're all on the same page, because they were so quick to say, oh, I think he has it. And we were like, no, he just can't hear you.
Right.
So it's just, and I knew that, firsthand experiencing that. And I just think about all the people who don't have someone to advocate and let, different doctors know what the situation is.
You know, you bring a point, like I'm big on having this recap that I have with medical, whatever. And I thought about it before, and I just, now the light bulb went off. I should have on my recap that I have a hearing problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that I wear hearing aids. And if I happens to happen something to me when I don't have the hearing aids in, and I end up somewhere, they're going to look at me like, well, you know, this guy's out of it. He doesn't know what the hell's going on. And it's because I can't hear.
Right. And that's.
I was recently in a situation where a senior took a fall, and we called 911. 911 came immediately and, you know, asked the pertinent questions, and then the ambulance came and, you know, asked the pertinent questions. She had to repeat herself so many times, and there was music in the background, and clearly she was having a very difficult time responding because she couldn't hear. And they were looking at me. I mean, I knew her not that well, but I didn't know these answers. And I'm thinking, I wonder if they're supposed to ask, do you wear hearing aids? You know, because they certainly asked a lot of, you know, do you have a pacemaker? Do you have, you know, they asked all these very, very important questions, immediate questions. But, you know, so it was almost like there was it was a communication problem because she couldn't hear.
Right.
And she could hear certain things, but there was stuff going on in the background. So
yeah, because the background noise really makes such a humongous impact. I mean, I even know you know, and we're not even talking about just seniors. You know, I know people who it's just, and you're so right, Otto, because we are in a society, and especially in New York, where things are just so loud. So there's so much going on. And listen, and I was laughing when you said about everyone talking over each other, because you clearly have been at dinner with my friends and family, because there's 10,000 different
Mine too.
going on
you bring up
all
a
the
great
time.
point. All right. I just went through this whole process for going to a doctor on my chart, where you got to go through the questionnaire. There is not one word mentioned in there about hearing.
Yeah.
Do you have a hearing problem? They ask you 483 questions, nothing to do with hearing. And that's an important point.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge.
You go to a doctor and you can't hear. And, you know.
Right. You can't hear. You don't go to your follow-up appointment. So it really needs to be, I mean, they do, I mean, a great mental health eval now. I mean, every time I go to the doctor, at least for my full physicals, or even if I'm sick, they ask, are you, you know, all these questions regarding mental health. Now, I happen to have really great insurance and I'm not a senior yet, but what if someone goes in, what do they do with that? Well, they can't afford mental health because they're on Medicare or something like that. But hearing.
And it's so important, the hearing question, because it really can change the way that someone is talking to you and asking you questions, and their tone of voice, their volume of voice, you know, how fast or slow they speak. You know, it's such an important thing. So, you know, hopefully.
Well, I mean, your relationships with people are going to change if you can't hear. You know, they're going to get tired of hollering. The conversation is like, okay, you know, you got to yell your brains out so somebody can hear you, and on both sides that wears there for a while. I've been there, and with other people as well, and it's a frustrating experience for both sides.
Right.
So the conversation becomes work. It's no longer just a flow of two people having a conversation. You know, it becomes work.
And you think about just the trickle down of all the impacts that has, you know. So it's it's so important to raise awareness too. And I hope
we got to do the hearing technology movement. Let's go.
Seriously. No, I mean, you heard it here first, guys. That's right.
The big movement has to be, how do we do stuff without blowing people's brains out? Like at a wedding, for example. How did that happen? You know, I mean, even younger people, like guys in your age brackets and my own kids, they say, wow, is that loud?
Yeah.
Well, if everybody says it's loud, why do the DJs keep thinking that they have to play this thing at 400 decibels?
You know, I'm going to it's a great question. I really don't know. You know,
I don't know either. I mean, and this is a true story. A friend of mine who's one of these real old hard-headed guys. His daughter's wedding in Eisenhower Park when they had weddings there. He goes over to the DJ and he says, you got to cut this down. And he says, if you don't, he had a wire cutter in his pocket. I swear to you. He says, I'm going to cut the wire.
Wow. Well,
the guy cut it down.
Well, and we're not advocating to do that.
That's a little bit of an extreme approach, I grant you, but
I mean, and I can't tell you how many people, I even remember when I got married back in the day, and, I had back then I had, oh God, they're all gone, but I had so many older relatives. I had a great aunts and uncles, and, everyone called me, like, don't put me by the speaker, don't, I don't want to be near a speaker, because back then it was the speaker. Now they have little things and loud. Yeah. So
still loud though.
Yeah, it's still very loud. But yeah, you're right, and
I think it just goes back to because I even think about when I'm in cars with people, it's like, oh my God, I love this song, make it louder.
Yeah.
I think it's just this psychological thing that if you really like it, it has to be super loud,
Right.
What about why? I mean, some of them are so loud that the car shakes.
Yeah.
The car next to you is actually shaking.
Yes.
And your car starts to shake because it's so loud.
And that bass sound is how could they even be in their car? It's so overwhelming, and you're in the other car with your windows closed, and you're freaking out, right?
Yeah, it's definitely, and I think it's just important,
How did that happen? That's a study of.
Where do we know? I don't know.
It's just things just got louder, and it just created this connotation that it needs to be super, super loud for you to enjoy it. So I don't know. But that's that, guys. But here we are. I'm glad that we had Dr. Cardano on, and I always love that about the radio show, that we have these guests who have been on for so many years, and they always are the first to say, hey, we have some new information to share. So it becomes part of our little radio family unit that is wonderful. So, and he's got such great educational resources. So if you're watching this as a video, you will see at the end all the ways to kind of see different things, because his website is really a plethora of great information. So
yeah,
I love one of the comments that came up when Ron Roll was on the show about what Project Independence does is pull community resources together, and that's an example, Kristina, what you're just talking about the people who come on this show many times become members of the community resource, which is what is the power of Project Independence.
Absolutely.
Gathering all the community resources.
And that's what we always, we were met with an organization, last week, and we were talking, and we're going to have them on the radio show. It's the National Aging in Place Council of Long Island, and they really have pooled so many different organizations. And I always say, of course, we love a free service. A free service is wonderful, but I also think in just being with Project Independence for so long, that people are even willing to pay for something sometimes. It's just they don't even know where to begin. So just to be able to kind of give this information out, and you have a word of mouth, and it's you could hear from different people, their experiences with whatever it might be, is just is important, to kind of, because I think the worst part is just having no idea where to go or who to reach out to, or what organizations might be available.
You know nothing about them.
Yeah.
You call
And
400 different phone calls.
Yeah.
About having these experts on that really know their stuff is the explanations of, in layman terms, of why this is happening. I've had this issue with tinnitus. I don't even know how long, a lot longer than when I started kind of trying to get help for it. But the way he explained it, just, that makes so much sense. And why people, when they do get hearing aids, it goes away because the brain no longer is compensating for the hearing loss. Because, it's so, I was just very interesting. And that's like a, the really good guests, Dr. Cardano and Ron Roll. I mean, there's this understanding of, aging and positive ways to kind of, I don't want to say combat it, because that's kind of a negative.
No, but right, but it's it's not I think it's, so often you just like want to like throw in the towel, you're frustrated,
Right.
you don't want to address it. And I think that these guests show you there are resources and different devices or, services, whatever it might be, that are out there to help, aging, gracefully and
successfully.
Yeah.
Ron said, yeah.
And that is to our next week's show. We are celebrating our 11th anniversary.
How could that be?
So I think, I'm going to give you each a homework assignment for next week. I want your top 5 shows. So think long and hard. I will send you a list of all the shows that you guys have been on, so you could just refresh your memory. But I think it's a good way to discuss our top 5. It's going to be a hard one. I feel like there's guests I forgot about that I'm going to have to refresh my memory.
Well, 11 years. I've been not the last 3 or whatever on a very regular basis. Before that, every 3-4 weeks. But that's a lot of shows. And
I know 2 off the bat.
Well, you can't share it, Beck. You cannot share it.
I'm not, but like, could they be? I don't know necessarily. Well, one was definitely my favorite, but another was just such a great moment, in that show. Okay.
We'll accept moments. We accept moments here too.
I'll need that list.
I will send it to you on Monday.
I know you will.
I'll put together your packets, but it's just really fun that we will.
And you're going to do it too, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Oh, okay. Dan has to do it too.
Well, it's our tradition. We get to drag in Dan. There's certain things that he has to.
Maybe his
come
top
on. He has to join our anniversary shows and my birthday show. So there's just certain things in his contract he must do.
Well, here's what we should say though. We're not allowed, like my birthday show. You guys will have shows. We're really not allowed to include them.
Oh,
they can't be the personal shows. They got to be.
Ooh, I like that Otto just upped the ante. All right.
I don't know. I mean,
okay.
Go to break? Oh, okay. Oh, we got to take a break. All right, you're listening to Project Independence and You, Talk of the Town. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back.
Take WCWP with you wherever you go with the WCWP app. Listen live 24/7 to all of our streams, all from one app. Plus, call the studios directly from the app and visit our social media. Download the app through the iOS App Store on Apple devices or the Google Play Store on Android by searching WCWP Radio, or visit WCWP.org for links. The WCWP app, available now on iOS and Android devices.
And welcome back to Project Independence and You on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I'm your host, Rebecca Miller, along with Otto Los and Kristina Lou. We are in the Talk of the Town segment. And, I think like the first segment of Talk of the Town should just be a recap of these fantastic guests that we have, because there's so much that we learn and appreciate. And I think it's important to kind of recap. But I mean, we could do what we want, basically, because Talk of the Town is really Kristina's show. And
no, I agree. And that's what it always seems to be, because as we said, it's so filled with so many golden nuggets every show. I was like thinking about that. I could literally go to every show and like pull out like a real like solid like piece of information from each one.
Yeah.
So it's great. And as we had mentioned before the break, we'll be celebrating our 11th anniversary. Next week, the supervisor will be joining us, and we'll just be recapping. I'm sure we'll have some little guests popping in here and there. So I'm really excited about that. And then we have, on September 30th, Otto's birthday, we have Fran Green on, who is the flirting, dating, and relationship coach and author. She's going to be doing tips to reconnecting after quarantine, which I'm sure will have a funny little spin as well for that. And then we're in October, October 7th. We have on Monica Corcoran-Harrell, who is an author, and she's the founder of a website called Pretty Ripe. And she's going to discuss aging gracefully and combating loneliness. I don't want to give away her story, but it's really a funny spin she has about her mom and kind of how she wrote this article for New York Magazine. So she will be on. And then October 14th, we have on another favorite of the show, Barry Klitzberg, who is going to do Medicare 2023 updates and open enrollment. So we will find out everything that's involved this year. There's always some new changes.
I
October
already
20th.
have questions for him on that.
Otto loves that. We could always count on Otto to ask the great questions.
Medicare drug plan is different. So
Mm-hmm.
how does that affect the drug plan that you would get? Part D.
And it's important to, and that's what we, just that's a little sidebar. We're having a program, 3 different ones for Medicare Part D, because it's important to really reevaluate it each year because there are changes. You have different medications, whatever it might be, and you could really save a lot of money, finding the right plan for you. So that actually is going to be on Tuesday, October 25th. We do this in partnership with Danielle Ezzo, who's over, she's a pharmacist and a professor with St. John's University. So she will be meeting with people, individual appointments. You bring your list of, all of your medications, and the first one, Tuesday, October 25th, you can make an appointment between 10 and 2. That's at the Port Washington Adult Activity Center. Then on Tuesday, November 15th, it will be at the Great Neck Social Center, and telephone appointments will be available November 10th, Thursday, November 10th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So if you prefer that, you could do a telephone appointment. But the amount of money that is saved, for all these people who, participate in this and find the right program for them is really
right. You need help. You need project independent. You really do, to get through this and learn all of this stuff.
It's because it's so complex. Every year we do this Medicare open enrollment, and it's even for us. We've done. We've been in it, but it's still so hard to wrap your head around. The ins and outs and what kind of pertains to you. So Barry is the go-to. So I'm excited for him to be on for that. And then we have October 28th. We have on 2 representatives from the National Aging in Place Council, who I had mentioned earlier that we met with, and they're really a great resource. So I'm excited for them to be on. And it's great. And what they talked about is another topic that I want to get the person on. Part of their organization, they have an end-of-life doula. And it always stuck with me because it just sounded like something you never heard. And it was more so about building the person's legacy. We're always talking about legacies on this show. And Otto, I love your little hodgepodge book that you're putting together for your family of just stories about your life. And that's what this doula will do. And, depending on what you need, she will sit with you and kind of go over things and organize. So I really want to get her on because I think it's an interesting service for our seniors. So definitely want to check that out. So that is what's to come in just September and October, and then November we will have some more.
I would say don't mention that word. November.
I know, it's very scary to think that things are rapidly coming, but it's okay.
It's happening.
There's all good things that are coming. So
yes,
Publishers Clearinghouse is at my door. I'll be right back.
Okay. I love that. So also we have this weekend, September 18th, at North Hempstead Beach Park, we will have our Stop Throwing Out Pollutants program, which I encourage everyone to definitely do. We promote this every show because we love some good organization and decluttering on this show. So that is from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. There's a whole host of things that you're able to bring, and just a few are aerosols, household chemicals, pesticides, disinfectants, fertilizers, bulbs, thermostats, rechargeable and lithium batteries, TVs, computers, and of course, the favorite is you're allowed to bring up to 6 legal boxes of material to shred.
That's a lot of stuff. I mean, that's a good amount. It really is.
And that's just those things, because on the flip side, they have Big Brothers Big Sisters Long Island, and they will take anything from, gently used and working clothes, stuffed animals, electronics, toys, sporting equipment, shoes, books, area rugs, bikes, picture frames, lamps, fabric. There's just silverware, glassware. I mean, these are so many things that I think of in my own house that you say, what, I don't want to throw this out. We all have, listen, if you're in my house, I have a lot of different kinds of glassware, and certainly a lot of mugs. I always think back to me and you during the pandemic, talking that we had organized our mug cabinet so many times during COVID, and there's a lot, and I have so many mugs that can B, they're not in bad condition, so you want to give it to someone that can use it. So I think it's really, really great that this is kind of a one-stop shop for getting rid of stuff and certainly donating it for a good cause. So Sunday, September 18th, North Hempstead Beach Park, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Certainly mark it on your calendar and check it out if you are available, because I recommend it. Then we have coming up, which is always a really, really fun event, is the Fall Family Festival event. And that is October 1st from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. at North Hempstead Beach Park. There's arts and crafts, there's bouncy slides, there's live music. There's always some kind of like Disney princess character around. There's
pumpkin patch,
yeah, the pumpkin patch is adorable. And then there's going to actually be a craft fair in addition at this event, which should be
that's a new one. That's going to be fun.
Yes. And it's just I love the Fall Family Festival because it's really a great festival for all ages. I brought my little nieces there last year, and they
you sure did.
Blast. And I had fun, and they had fun. My mom had fun. So this is all like different, generations. So it's a beautiful reason to get out there, and the weather hopefully will be lovely.
Yeah, if the weather holds up. The weather was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And last year was the first time they did that type of fall. We kind of like merged a lot of it together, and we had no idea if people would come because it was like the first.
And it was packed. I mean,
it was from the second it started to the minute it ended, it was people were coming, and so yeah, they kind of community services upped their game for this new one. They had to add things, and it's hopefully it'll be a really good weather, and
great. So
the family.
That's right. Rile them all up and go. And also on that day, you could do both if you really just want to be involved in so many North Hempstead things. There is the rabies clinic for dogs, cats, and ferrets. So this is going to be from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Town of North Hempstead Animal Shelter. I think this is really great. It's important to have your little furry friend, up to date with their rabies shots. And I love that it's dog, cats, and ferrets. I always love that the ferrets one is. And I want to know how many ferrets are coming. There's so many questions I have about the ferrets. But just mark that down, and it's great that it's a free service. So you could have your cat, your dog, and your ferret go to get that. And then you can go over to Fall Festival. So definitely check that out. Some other little events that will be coming. We have on October 16th, at Clark Botanic Garden. They have a bunch of different programs they've been doing, and this is the last one of the series, is the beauty of the fall garden. You'll have a little lecture about it, and then they'll lead participants around the garden, highlighting just different ways to create a fall garden on Long Island. So that sounds like a great program. So you can call 311 or 516-869-6311 for more information on that. We had our first back to, we were off a little bit for summer for our advisory committee meeting. We had our back to school, kind of one that was on Wednesday, and it was really great. We had a lot of people on Zoom and people in person, so we're still maintaining the hybrid kind of thing for right now because it's certainly suitable for a lot of people who, can't necessarily come out. The next one will be on October 12th. And I just want everyone, if you are interested, to please register. It's such a great place to meet new people, to hear about what's going on in the community. And at this one, there was a lot of new faces.
There was, and one other thing I want to say is that we do have a lot of snowbirds.
Yes.
So if you're a snowbird, you can Zoom in and come to the meetings. I think we did have some people doing that last year. So since we are continuing with the hybrid, that's a really good option too.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was really cool. It's always great when, our Pioneer newsletter hits or our email newsletter hits, when all of a sudden you see this flood of people registering for things. And that's what happened with the advisory is, it was nice to see these new names of people who wanted to, to get involved and to learn. So I encourage people, you don't have to come every month, but if you are available and around, it's really a great place to, hear from a speaker, hear, firsthand from all of us what's going on, and kind of just share ideas about, things that you think are missing in the community, and whatever it might be. So call 311 to register for that. It's October 12th at Clinton G. Martin Park at 10 a.m. So
There is always
Otto,
a
I
need
hope you
to
will be
get
there.
young seniors involved, because they have a different perspective. As you march along in this game, there's a big difference between 65 and 85, or
Absolutely.
65 and 90. The perspectives of life and what you think you need and so on.
Right. I know very few people, even in their mid 60s, that are working. A lot of them today are. I mean, if you're fully retired and able, to get out during the day at 65, it's still unusual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super.
I think that's always been an issue too, Otto, why we haven't been able to get, because we're, they're still working. But it would be nice, if they have time, and even just the input, because so much of Project Independence, we always talk about this, is planning. So, at 65, you should have a really good plan, for retirement.
Well, and that's the beauty of Zoom, for, people who maybe are working, or, you could just Zoom in to our group. And I know we've talked about this over our Project Independence, and we hope to do that this, next couple of months, is, reach out to different groups that are in the community, houses of worship or libraries, get everyone, involved again as kind of a love. Because listen, there's been a lot of changes. Some people might not know about certain things. So that's what I always love too about advisory committees, is when you have these representatives from different groups who then, take the information back to their group. That's always kind of the foundation of what we've been. And it's just
There's
nice
such
to
a difference in mentality when we had Ron Roll on at the last deal, with people who are approaching retirement now, as opposed to when I was in that scenario. And even worse with me, it was worse back when people said they were going to retire. That's what they meant. They're going to retire. And as you know, I like the word rewire.
Rewire.
Life is not over. It's not. You don't have to just put your feet up in a chair and watch TV all day. There's a lot of things you can do.
No, absolutely. And that's such an important, I walked away from last week's segment, when we talked about, I'm going to be sad. We were leading up to our anniversary show, that it was just, you walked away from it, and it really was an inspirational interview. And I encourage anyone who did not get to hear it, live last week, to go to our website, our Project Independence website, or to the WCWP Studios YouTube page, because it was such a great, just an interview, and it was just hopeful, and it was positive, and it was just really just a great spin on, retiring and looking at that next chapter of life, and kind of thinking about how you're going to do it. So I was raving about it all weekend, to all ages, might I say. I called my husband.
I loved it.
I actually watched it with Bunny. I usually don't watch the shows too often. I watch them every now and then. But for some reason, I thought I would like to see this one. I'd like to see what we talked about.
Absolutely.
And she said it was a very good show. So
and it was just, but I'm telling you, I was talking all weekend about it. And
I love the successful aging that just stayed with me. And every time I see it or think about it, it makes me smile.
It does, absolutely.
Yeah, that's the way to look at it. Successful aging, not this whole retirement, rewirement. I love that, Otto, too. But I just wanted to throw out, I'm going to actually be on Ron's podcast on October 3rd. And I know that will be accessible forever after that. So maybe we'll have a little bit more information.
Absolutely.
Really looking forward to it. He's, it's just so great to talk to him. And, it's like he's always thinking. He's got that kind of brain where, like, you're talking to him and he's just thinking and listening, absorbing. And I'm looking really, we're all to that.
I bought the book that he talked about.
What is it
again? Smiling or happy. What was the word again? What's the name of the book?
His book, or We'll have to look. Yeah.
Yes, I had it written down somewhere on my
Yeah, I mean, I
papers from
bought the
last week.
book and I have the book on my night table, but I forget the name of it.
There you go.
But,
Well, you can come back to us next week and let us know.
Yeah.
Well, it's being happy is a choice, I think, or something
Yes.
like that.
Oh, right. Yeah, something
Right.
like that. Well, on that note, we do have to take a quick break. We're coming to the last segment of Project Independence, the talk of the town. It's what you're listening to on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. We will be right back after a quick break.
WCWP is your home for great music and great conversation. You'll find all that and more on WCWP.org. Listen live on the web, check out the lineup, subscribe to podcasts, and stay up to date on the latest station events. Get in touch with us and let us know if you like what you're hearing. And find out how you can support or get involved at the only community public radio station serving Nassau's North Shore. Plus, sign up to get a free bumper sticker. It's all online at WCWP.org.
And welcome back to Project Independence and You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. I'm Rebecca Miller, along with Kristina Liu and Otto Los. We are in our Talk of the Town segment. I can't believe it's the end of the show. It always freaks me out because it goes so fast, so much information, just really good stuff. And now we're just talking about everything that Project Independence has scheduled and also the town. It's so incredible how many things we have going on in
Yeah.
It's like you're reading this stuff off and it's every week. A lot of the programs that we offer them weekly. It's really amazing. And it's so great to be on the radio show and also to have it on North Hempstead television and all the other social media platforms to get the word out. So
yeah, absolutely.
and really just call 311 and get some more information at any point. 869.
Just a quickie. I floundered with the name of the book. It's
There you
Happiness
go.
is a Choice You Make by John Leyland.
I like it.
I
So
have not read
true.
it yet. I just got it yesterday.
Good. Well, Otto, I expect you to give us a full
Amazon.
recap.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll have like a little radio show book club. And I
Yeah.
I like that. So
Well, there's another thing. Reading positive books is not a bad thing either.
Yeah.
I remember as a kid, I read 2 books, believe it or not, in my teen years. The Power of Positive Thinking and How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie.
Everything. I love it.
And that's like
Is that like your
that book.
Bible?
I have actually given that book to my grandchildren numerous times.
Well, you know what? I think I'm going to give that to my mom. So I'm going to write down.
It's very, very not. It's a really good book, and it's been around for a long time. How to stop.
Well,
worrying.
clearly Otto took those words in, because I must say, and I'll have to toot Otto's horn, which I somehow always do on every show, because Otto is certainly who we all on this show say we want to be when we grow up. And I just think, you put your money where your mouth is, that. You really live by those things, and I think
who said I grew up?
That's
That's part of it. You don't want to grow up too much.
See, but that's also the key, and I like that. And you just did one of my favorite activities that you do, Otto, that you unfortunately couldn't join us at our advisory meeting because you were at the Wayward Boys fishing, golfing extravaganza.
Yeah. This was my 60th year attending that gathering.
Amazing. Like 60th
Next year will be our 75th.
Amazing. And it was just the picture warmed my heart, and I told him it made my day, and it really did, because he had the little golf towel that I made up for him for his birthday, and he was with his friends, and you just felt the love and the joy in the picture, and it was just great, and I just love that.
Well, we had a good time. It's a great. It's out in Greenport, Long Island, and we golf and we fish. We have a good dinner, and then we go home.
There you go.
Where do
sounds like a great time to me.
You go to Claudio's? Where do you go when you're in Greenport?
Actually, there's a place out there called the Townsend Manor Inn, which we've been going to. The young lady who was the waitress, it's not a big place, and they basically catered to us really nicely. But the daughter, when I was there, her great-grandfather and her great-grandmother who I was dealing with to arrange this thing. And now we're dealing with their great-granddaughter and her
wow.
father,
So cool.
So this
I
is the
love it
fourth
all.
generation that of the Gonzalez family out here in Townsend Manor Inn is what it's called. And they do a nice job for us. They cater to us, and
Oh,
we have a good
wonderful.
time. Yeah.
Very
Yeah, but
nice.
I think, it's such an important thing. Obviously, Otto is a very active man who, does a lot of golfing and fishing. And I think that, listen, whatever your thing is like to find it and do it. And the fact that Otto's been doing it for so many years with, a group of his friends, I think is so special. So I think it's all about finding kind of your thing, right? That brings you joy and happiness and keeps you active. And I love it. It's literally when Otto first told me the name of that group, I literally melted. And it's so good.
Well, the name came about actually the Wayward Boys Club. We originally were all with a company called McBee Systems, which doesn't exist anymore. And as years marched along, we really had to expand to some people who weren't just working, family members and whatever. So we decided we got to come up with a generic name. So the creative name was the Wayward Boys Club. Some people think it's a charity. It's not. It's just a
Well, listen, you
bunch
might
of
be onto
misfits.
something.
I mean,
think
we
it's got a
worked
catchy
together
ring.
in Manhattan when we were all dumb and young, and we had a lot of good times together in Manhattan. Years ago.
That's what my wheels are turning. I'm thinking back. We might need a show with the Wayward Boys, and
I know. Yeah, right.
Really get all the juice
do.
and the scoop, because I think there's a lot of good, and there's probably a lot of good words of wisdom, that each Wayward Boy has.
Well, we have an interesting group. I'll say that. There's we all work together. We were all in sales, and this was back in the days when in Manhattan we had an office that had like 40 salespeople covering Manhattan. It was just a different world. No internet. You would either get leads in, hopefully, or we had a zip code that was our territory, and you would actually go in and try to find out who was in these buildings. And we sold accounting systems, manual back in those days, which people used, and lots of other stuff. I mean, without boring you here, but we sold a lot of things, and but there was no internet to find out what was going on. No email. The big approach would be you'd go, and there were receptionists at every company. So you'd go to the receptionist, try to find out who was responsible for blah, blah, and hopefully maybe even got to talk to them once in a while. But that's how you found out who the people were. And we all worked together, and the ones that hung out, we were all not too bad at our job. And in those days, it was a completely different world. Within the building, we were in the Pfizer building, which is on 42nd Street, across the street from the news building. And there used to be a thing in there called Heidi's. And Heidi's was a luncheonette / bar. And for team building, the boss had a charge account in there. So we would congregate down there every now and then. And, we didn't have to worry about driving home because everybody took trains. So it was a different plan.
There you go. So we know what that means, Otto.
But as a result of all of that, we have had friendships that have lasted for 60 years.
So amazing. I love
it.
I wanted to tell you guys what I did this weekend, speaking about lasting friendships. So I had unfortunately, a friend of mine had a tragedy, and she was my roommate in college. And all of the girls, women that we all shared our dorm with and then our apartment with, we went up to visit her this past weekend, and she lives in New York on the border of Vermont. Now, I've seen a lot of them over the years, but I have not spent a night with them like we lived together. Mm-hmm. And of course, it was bittersweet because it was we got together because we wanted to build morale. But there is nothing like seeing people that you had so much fun with. And one of the girls brought up photo albums from college, and we went on trails, and my friend lives on the border of Vermont. We went into Vermont, and it was just such an amazing thing. So Otto, kudos to you staying in touch with people who bring you joy.
Yep.
And we are like, we just had the most amazing time. And, I know that it helped Kelly, my dear, dear Kelly, on so many levels. But it's so important to maintain this. And we're going to do this all the time now. I mean, why not? We had such a great time. The last time we all stayed over together in the same place, it was probably
there's not that many people you can share as you get older, particularly you can share when you were younger. Because when you get older, the facts of life are you lose people, all right? And some of them are people who you shared childhood things with.
Yeah.
And, adventures when you were a kid or a young adult. And when you have it, keep it, and you have to work at that.
And that's such a great point, Otto, because I think it is. And that is, it certainly is work, but I think you're so right, because those are such important times. And you're right. As you get older, unfortunately, that's just the name of the game, right? You lose people that were in your life. And it's so important that while you can, yes, everyone's lives are super busy. Everyone's got their own stuff they're dealing with. But I think to set apart, these times, and believe me, it's exhausting. I could speak from firsthand, trying to round up the troops at the time is a lot of work. But it is. And it's you're always going to leave the situation feeling like, oh, I'm really glad I did that. That was a really
but it's easier now than it was when we doing this in the beginning. No internet, no email, no texting.
Right.
If you didn't make a phone call, or even frankly, like I naturally was the one who organized this thing.
Of course.
I
told you Otto is my spirit animal.
You had to send out letters to people.
Yeah.
You sent out a mailing with all the information and blah blah blah, and that's a no-brainer. You have email, and send it out, and boom boom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get together with friends as much as you can.
And also don't be afraid to necessarily, make some new friends. You can get out there. And that's, the segment that I had mentioned earlier that's coming in October. That's really the message behind it is, this woman, her mom had lost all of her friends and she used to be so active, so it was just about her kind of getting back out there and meeting new people that have. And listen, that's something that you're able to do at Project Independence. I mean, think about all these groups we have, on the start, even if you join an exercise class, right? You're just, I'm joining an exercise class to exercise. But there's such a bigger benefit to it. And it's the socializing aspect, if you're doing it, in person. And that's something that we
one of the phrases I like is today is tomorrow's yesterday. All right. You always can reflect back like what we're doing, right? For me as an older person, right? These are memories that are being built, fact. And you have to keep doing that. Somewhere, as long as you're fortunate, I understand health, believe me, you need your health. You can work at that. Try to be smart about how you manage your own health. And you still need some luck and a blessing from up there.
Yeah, of course.
No question
about that.
But I
think you made such a good point, Otto, too, because, now with technology, obviously a lot of times it's not the same as being in person with someone, but, everyone's got their own thing. And it does allow for you, if you are someone who isn't able to drive or be mobile, you're still able nowadays with all these things with a click of a button to be connected, and that's something that I think we all could agree came out of COVID, that you had no other options, so the only option you had was this kind of virtual thing. So I think obviously people that, use technology, were able to kind of do it, but even the people who didn't, had no other choice but to dive in. And then now that's a part of their routine, which I think is so important, and even, at our advisory committee meeting, there was a bunch of people who said, please, I just want to make sure you're still doing the North Hempstead TV exercise classes, because it's great to have that at home, so I just think about that. And here we are, that became part of so many people's daily thing, and they look forward to it. So I just think it's
I often look back and I wonder, how is so-and-so doing who I knew when I was a kid, or how is so-and-so doing who I really liked and we worked together and whatever. But back then, you didn't have the luxury of
Yeah.
easier contact. You know,
Right.
whatever people think of things like Facebook and whatever, I have at least a knowledge of what's going on with some people's lives who I like. And,
Yeah.
you know, you go back and I look back and I look back to like high school and college later, and even in the service, the Navy, whatever. There's a lot of people that had the technology existed today, then
Yeah.
I would still have contact with. But
You know,
you lose that contact because it's just, it's harder. It was harder.
I recently went to see my stepmother in Florida. I stayed with her. She had a minor procedure. She did great. And she was a school teacher in Queens many, many, many years ago. And she, in the last few years, she taught English. She was just so, she's a really good English teacher. And in the last few years, people have been finding her and sending her letters and leaving her messages on her answering machine. She still has a landline. And she saved them for me. So it's like, I want, people to know if you want to reach out to someone in a positive way. I mean, don't be a stalker and don't ask for money. But she was so filled with joy. She was like, "Oh, Becca, you got to hear this." And she played this student. Oh, and this woman happened to be from Long Island, even though Lynn lives in Florida now. And she just said, Irene, and she gave these like little tidbits. I just want you to know, Miss Coburn, you did this for me. And she was a teacher. So it's kind of, they were able to find her. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. So I don't know what I'm recommending here, but it was just kind of, a great experience for her that people found her. And she started getting letters, and it was amazing. So
that's so cool.
But that's a good positive use of technology.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and that's what I was thinking. You always hear like the downfalls of social media, and listen, I'll be the first one to say it. It can be a very toxic space, but it really can be such. How you're utilizing it, is really the key. I choose on my Facebook to only keep it light, right? So it's about like happy things. I try and spread joy. I don't keep it too heavy. My life's heavy enough. That's how I choose to use it. Listen, that's kind of how everyone can do whatever they want.
Well, I'll block people who I will. I mean, if all I'm going to hear on there is their political views and being very firm about the whole thing, I don't want to hear that. Right?
I know.
I have a view. You have a view. You're entitled to your view. I'm entitled to my view. I may think your view is completely insane, but I have my own opinion.
No, you're right.
And you're not going to change my opinion. So why should we even argue about it?
Exactly.
But you know what I think too, and like what's so nice about Facebook, especially for someone, like when you are a senior, and then life wasn't, as you mentioned, Otto, it wasn't always so easy to keep in touch with people. But there's these groups now, so there'll be, the class of blah blah blah, and then you could have like all these people joining. So there's so many different ways to get connected and meet someone. Is just is like the nice part of social media. It's the positive. So that's our thing, And then we are going in November. We have technology for the terrified. We'll have Barbara Melman will be providing another kind of chat about kind of getting involved. So we always encourage people, to safely.
I saw a November one that unfortunately is on a Friday morning, the veteran celebration.
That's the breakfast. We have that every year. The
on a Friday morning.
Yeah. Well, they do. Yeah, Community Services does that one. But we've got to go. That is it for today's Project Independence in You Community Talk Radio. That's it for Talk of the Town for today. Another great show. Thank you to Kristina every week. It's just you just can't. It's never a disappointment. Our guests
We're a good team.
Wonderful. Guys. Thank you so much, Otto and Dan Cox. It's just another great show, and it's always fun too. I just have to say, we have a lot of fun here, and even
and that's the most important part, right?
You gotta have fun. Make that choice. Choose fun. Have a great week, everyone, and we'll be here next week. Project Independence in You, Community Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. Take care, everyone.